So after successfully test running, it's time to get these two Mustangs ready to fly. I'm going to start with the green military Mustang. I do read your comments, so I will be lowering the compression on this one a little bit. I need to open it up and seal up the fuel tank. It seems to be leaking where I glued it in. And there's a little issue here. You can see how loose this is. I want to tighten that engine mount up a little bit. I'm not sure how I'll do that. Then I also have to install flying lines, a stooge line for the back, and I usually take the tail wheel out and put like a skid I make that plugs in to keep from damaging the aft fuselage when on landing or takeoff. I just don't have any confidence that the tail wheel would stay in place when you're flying them, so I don't take the chance. So anyway, I will comment as we go along on what I do, and I will see you. So to lower the compression, all you do is add one of these little copper washers, maybe brass, I'm not sure. It comes with the glow head. I found one in my toolbox, so I'll throw that in. Just one to see if that helps the engine run a little better. So to seal up the fuel tank, I just grabbed some silicone gasket seal that I had in my toolbox, and I don't think you can see it, but I just put it around the joint where the tank meets up in there. Quite a thick coat, but it should do the job, hopefully. Just so I don't have fuel running all over the place when I fuel it up, and get that nice satisfying squirt when you top the tank off. So I guess we'll see how that works when the time comes. So it turns out the silicone sealant I put in here before was expired, and it never really dried. So I had to remove all that, and I went with some flex glue from the hardware store. I think this is this like flex seal that you see on TV where the guy like is sitting in a truck underwater with this stuff all over it. Anyway, so it seems to have dried. I don't know if it'll seal up the fuel tank. Maybe it'll help the fuel not leak, run all over the place a little better. To tighten up the engine, I've just made like a gasket of red plastic rubbery kind of I guess this is striping tape for painting. I use it on my model cars and stuff. Anyway, I'm going to stick that in and see if it's taking up enough space to tighten the engine mount. And you know, once everything's clamped in place with the lower cowl, it should be fine. But if not, I can always take it apart and do something else. Okay, this is the engine reinstalled. I think it works pretty well. The little tape gasket seems to have tightened it up enough that it's not wiggling anymore. So we'll move on to the stooge lines. All right, so this is my Tailskid modification. This is the Mustang lower fuselage. This is the later version. It has a pretty big slot there between the, I guess the fork of the tail wheel. The Bendix has just a small hole, so you'll have to make an adjustment there. So what I did is I got a piece of, this is just a piece of plastic from like a takeout container, and I make a little device. I just cut it with a scissors, roughed it out. It's basically a folded over piece of plastic from a takeout container. I make a little tab that goes into the slot in the tail wheel, and a little rounded part to act as a tail skid. I think I made this shaft a little too long. But anyway, it just goes into the shaft. You can see, and then what I do is I stick a toothpick inside to secure it, a rounded toothpick through that little tab that holds it in, and that acts as a tailskid. And I gave myself a little bit of room here because the goal of putting the tailskid in is that this piece does not get damaged. I've gotten parts on some of the crash stuff I buy that, you know, it's clear that the tail wheel got lost and they continue flying, and this little tail wheel fork thing gets ground off or chipped or broken. So that's the goal. The idea is to not grind up the parts when I'm flying. So if anybody down the road, you know, needs a Mustang lower fuselage, there's a good one in existence. So I will take a piece of fishing line, and I'll probably run it in through the shaft. I run it in through the shaft and probably tie it off to the toothpick, and then I will make the length of the, you know, I'll have two ends of the fishing line running out, and I'll use that to make my stooge line. And I'm going to do that right now and show you, you know, how that fits together. All right, this is my stooge set up. I got the line installed. Like I said before, I just tied it around the toothpick, ran the pigtails out, just set the length through my pin here, and I have this set up so the landing gear can go on either side of the fork. So in this case, the torque theoretically would be pushing the plane to the left. So I would orient the plane like this. So I set the length so the landing gear is right at the end of the fork, so it's not going to get tangled up or trip over when it releases. So that's basically it. So when I'm out in the field, I put a string around the loop here, and then I can just get out to the flying circle next to grab the handle, pull the string, and off we go. Okay, this is my combat Mustang ready to fly. Last thing to do was to install the control lines. I have a perfect control handle, and that's just laziness because I think I had those lines on a AT6 Texan I was trying to fly. So I just, as they were already in the handle, I just put them on. The wing's a little warpy. It's kind of concerned about that. I don't know if it's going to fly straight, but I think it will fly level. And next up will be the Bendix Mustang. I might try to take this green Mustang out this weekend if I get a chance, but I don't know how the weather's going to be. Anyway, stay tuned for the next update. Thanks.